All right, Shea, you are officially live on this podcast called Crossing the Line. I am thrilled to have you. And so, listeners, here's Shea Radcliff, and she's going to tell us about herself because she is really kind of this badass woman that I met randomly. Nothing happens in my life without a reason. Like all of these things are. So, a year ago, when I was in the process of selling my house, I was living with a friend, and Shea is a person who cleans this person's house. And so we just got to talking. And the reason, Shay, I want to talk to you is because of age, which I will you tell us how old you are?
I am 34.
34. So that makes you one of those millennials. I don't like the millennials.
Oh,
I know, but here's the thing. I don't think I understand them. So this is phenomenal that you are a millennial. And so we talk about generations and stuff, but um, I just like to talk to cool people and figure out like this path. You are in business for yourself, and so um I just introduce yourself. Where you're from, how'd you get to do what you do, what should we know about you?
okay. Well, I am, like you said, Shea Radcliffe. I own several small businesses. So I live in the St. Louis area. I guess I could be more specific. I live in Alton, Illinois, but I usually just say St. Louis for the broader community of people.
Yes, they get that.
Um, yeah, exactly. And I worked for a lot of people. I've done a lot of different things throughout my life. I've been working since I was 15. And I just kind of have bounced around. I like we talked about a little before this. I never really felt like everybody else, like and wanted to do what everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really resonated with my own, like I'm a really self-motivated person. And so I really needed to find something that would motivate me, like that I could, motivate. And I found more of my own path of like, oh, I can make money by just doing what it is that I do. And, and I'm
Uh-huh.
motivated to, stay on schedule, stay on track. Like I'm really loyal, I'm really reputable, like that kind of thing. So I was like, I could do this. So I kind of just started with cleaning houses and doing that. And I started stacking up people slowly. And then that kind of gave me availability to start my own thrift business because I love thrifting. It's like a huge passion of mine. I've been doing it since I was a kid. And then,
Okay.
which became a thing, and people are really into it, and I'm honored. Like it's really cool. Like I've just found my own little niche there. And then I also teach yoga. So I've been a yoga teacher for a little over 4 years now, and that's also becoming more of a thing as well. So I've been doing a lot of things, and I've just leaned into things that I really love doing, and I just have connected with other people that love doing the same thing. So it's just, and meeting all my cleaning people, like finding opportunities like, you and just so
Right.
many things. It's just been really cool.
So I want to just pause on two things. The first one is, do you realize that you've actually been working now for 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to think about it.
So, and I say that because we just do what we do, right? We just do what we do. But when you said that, I was like, girl, you've been working for 20 years. Aren't you tired yet? I mean,
I'm tired. I'm getting more
here's
tired.
yeah, right. Here's the thing. You go, okay, when are you going to retire? Well, no, but
Yeah,
you've been working for 20 years.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I've done other things back there too, but I won't bore you with all of that stuff too.
Yeah. So I have a question about thrifting. Let's talk. Okay. We're just going to be all in circles and people know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Explain to me when you said you thrift, like what I, what is the definition? Like, why is that? Tell me about that. Because there's like
So
there's a whole like energy that just sort of exploded in you. Go.
I okay. I just it started when I was young, like I said, and it's just like I had a huge shopping addiction. Okay, like pretty
Okay.
big. The internet was a thing, the one click buy Amazon. Oh my gosh, I felt like I was working to shop essentially.
Click
And
purchase.
so
Very
just
simple.
so easy. And so I was like, okay, this is not sustainable. This is not something you can do all the time. So I started, thrifting more. I started leaning back into that and being like, oh, I can buy all this stuff, but for like way less amounts of money. I started going to the bins, getting it for like by the pound, estate sales, like all the things. And I just really love funky clothing. And I started amassing kind of, a little collection. And people are like, do you sell your stuff? do you sell it? Like, do you like to sell it? Is that something you want to do? Like, I love the way you put things together, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll sell stuff. I just started selling stuff and popping up places, and people would follow me there and they would come and buy my things. It's just, yeah. So just kind of a,
So you buy them at places at a discount and then you sell. I mean, so you've got some markup, so you're making money doing that. And clothes, furniture, I mean, what
mostly
are
clothes, some
okay.
knickknacks. I've got a location in a local store too, and it's kind of just now it's become a little more passive income, which is really nice because I can just
Yes.
have that there and make money off of it whenever. And it's been really cool. It's been just like a natural little like progression of something that I really genuinely love doing.
Okay, so natural progression. Have you ever had a real job?
Define real job.
Okay, like where you go to
Like
somebody
a
tells you what
salary?
hours you have to be there, hourly rate. Like, have you been to worked at a
I was a bartender for a while. I've got
okay.
the personality for it. I did
Oh
that.
yes.
I was a lifeguard for a long time. I loved doing that. Like it was just more like those kind of jobs. Nothing
Yeah.
too serious.
So I have a host a mastermind, and in the mastermind that when we started, I said to the people as we began, I said, "When did you know that you were different?" And all of them had never, first of all, been asked that question, and their faces, their whole body sort of took a deep breath, and it was this moment where they went, "Well, always, but nobody ever asked me." And that's, yeah, that. So when did you kind of feel like or know you were different?
I just think it was when like I kept my I love my parents. My parents are awesome, but they would be like, "Hey, like, are you gonna go to school for something? Like, what are you gonna do with your life? Like, you're kind of good at this." So I ended up going to school for music, like, because I'm kind of musical, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll try that. So I have my associates in musical performance, which I actually do sing and I do that stuff too. Um,
Okay.
I lead worship at church sometimes, so there's that.
Okay.
But then I also did hair for a little while, so I went and got my hair license, and like nothing just ever clicked. I was just like, I just don't think anything is for me, and I don't know. I guess then, just I was like, I don't know. I just don't feel like this world likes me very much.
Well, but the beauty of that, Shay, is that the world needs people like you who don't feel bad about the fact that this is you, because there are many, 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 many people running the world who fit in a box. Okay, let's take industries for instance. Let's take higher education, shall we? Okay,
Yeah.
and let's take staff people and professors and you know what? For them, that works. They need that structure or whatever it is, right? Okay, let's take healthcare. Let's take whatever industry you take, and okay, but you can't, oh, we do have a barking dog. I can't
I'm
hear
so
it.
sorry.
Oh, I can't hear a thing. No, it's all good. Um, and there's plenty of people who what I call their lifers, and that's great for them. And the other thing is our parents love us, right? I mean, I remember this. My mom, this has been 10 years ago when I was thinking about leaving education. My mom called my brother and said, "You have got to talk to your sister. She's thinking about leaving teaching. She can't,
No.
what? No." And my brother said, "Well, mom, you don't have to worry about her. Of all of us, you don't need to worry. I'm just not made like that." And so God made you the way he made you I mean, okay, I'm sitting here thinking, how many people don't have any of the talents or skills that you do? So you can put clothes together. I mean, you really kick ass about that. You can sing. So you got some music talent. Um, you clean the yoga. Okay, can you bend yourself in half, like backwards?
Oh, oh yeah, let's go. No, no way.
Yeah, okay. So, and all of that is a gift to the world in a way that's personal, that's way different than the gift of a professor at a university. right? I mean, think about the people that you clean for, the person that we're talking about, right? Like he, I mean, he's been through some major health stuff in the last 2 years, and you're part of his healing journey. Like the people that you give your gift of music to, like all of those things. And I think we spend a lot of time apologizing or feeling like we don't fit in or this isn't for me. And instead of saying, well, guess what? Just give me the crayons and I'll make a picture instead of the
Yeah,
picture and I'll put the crayons in it.
that's so poignant that you said that about your parents, because I
I feel like for throughout my life, and for good reason, like they're just a little nervous, they're worried, and I feel like within the last few years, they're finally like, I think she's got it. Like I think, we didn't have to worry about her. She's different and she's got it. Like that's,
Right.
and I'm,
Right.
yeah.
And I speak about the generations, which is wonderful to be talking to you because the older generation, I mean, they were loyal. They stayed in companies and that's their experience. So they put that experience on us without bad consequences. They don't think about that. And the world, here's the other piece that's hard. In as a millennial, let's put you in that box for a minute. And the younger generation, they're calling you the gig economy, meaning they're always going to have a side gig because they don't find the same joy or purpose in a job that has to pay the bills and have the health insurance and all those things. So they're doing these things on the side to have purpose. Your whole life is about purpose.
I wanted that to be the case. Like I feel like that's all I've really ever wanted is I want things to just be worth something. Like no matter
Okay.
what it is that I do.
Okay. So talk about the people in your yoga class. I mean, they probably don't like you during the yoga thing because you're pushing them, but at the end, they walk out and they go, "Oh, I feel really good." Not when we walk in. Do you do hot yoga? Do you do the hot yoga?
To teach it. I say that I'm the hot yoga. I don't need help. It's just,
Yes.
but I love teaching it in general. Like I feel I do push my students and they keep coming back. And I'm like, thank you. I don't know why you do, but thank you. I'm
And
honored.
and Shay, they have a choice to come to you or not. And look, like, so that purpose is being lived out. Yeah.
I want, like I said, I want to do more of that, like I want to do more things that like set my soul on fire. And I know that can sound like, yeah, maybe that is a millennial thing, like where we really are leaning into, the things that bring us joy, that bring us, like that are we're passionate about. But I also feel like that, I don't know, like I hope that becomes maybe more of a trend. Like maybe we lean too far the other way where it was like we only, and loyalty, man, there's something to be said about loyalty because we don't have enough of that anymore. Like that's definitely.
Why do you think that is? Okay, and it's interesting that you would say that. So tell me how that shows up. I want to know more about that.
Well, there's like this idea where everything should kind of come easy now. Like I think with the like the lifestyle and the way things are, like we talked about the one click Amazon thing where just things are so convenient. I call it the cult of convenience, really. And then once like you become so ingrained in like, oh, I should have it right now, this should be happening for me right now, where that's just not the way things work. Like life is not a one size fits all and you get it tomorrow. Like that's just, things take time.
But the unintended consequences of what the generations older than you have done, we created one click. We created technology and instant. So part of it is there's a speaker, his name is Jason Dorsey, and he says the technology is only new if you didn't know it before. So your generation and younger, those people did not experience waiting for the new episode of Seinfeld to come the following week and then have the cliffhanger in May. I mean, I'm watching Bridgerton, which is
girl, I just finished it. So good.
Okay, don't tell me the end.
I won't.
Why do I watch? Okay, because it's a soap opera. I was not allowed to watch soap operas as a kid. And I'm sitting there sort of like, I feel guilty, but this is beautiful and stupid. And all the things. Although, I got news for you. If you had to bustle me in up that stuff, like women's bodies are not made to where, okay, anyway.
Tangent is happening. I can feel it.
Yes. So, but I will say it did make things, again, not instant.
That weight. I thought it was,
You know what? As much as I was a little upset about it after the fourth episode, I was like, you know what? There's something to be said about the longing. And I think that's what the show is about anyway. And I think that's kind of what we're missing here is the longing, is like the wanting, is like the working and striving for. And I don't think
Right.
like you should have to work and strive forever. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying like
Right.
you should be consistent. You should show up and keep doing your job. But too many people are like, oh, I've showed up 3 times and nobody's showed up and I'm just going to quit. And you're like, but that's not
Right.
how it works.
But they don't know that's not how it works because that's only always how it's worked. And so the wanting, okay, I'm thinking about marriages right now. Like, okay, there's a lot of it's waiting, it's working through it. I love Shea. I love the way you said that. Where's the wanting? And I didn't know there was another set of 4 episodes. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to wait until like a year. So, and then somebody goes, oh no, there's new episodes. I'm like, but I have experienced the waiting. So in the day of Friends and Seinfeld and all those, like, did Rachel get off the plane? You had to wait to know if Rachel
Creating
got
weeks.
off the
Oh, the worst. Oh,
but
we remember it very clearly.
but we remember it. And because it does something inside you. And when our bodies, as we were talking before we started, our bodies keep the score of, we remember things because they are tied to emotions. We remember where we were when, I remember where I was when Columbine happened, or 9/11, or, the news about my parents' farm and a tornado, like those things, because they're emotional. And because we don't have to wait, we don't give our bodies time to feel. And that is very poignant. And so do you get frustrated with the people your age?
Yes and no. Like I feel, and I actually talk about this a lot with my stepdad. He owns a corporation and he's part of the ownership, and we talk about this a lot because he employs people and he employs the
Yes.
younger generation, and he's just so curious. He's like, there's such a superpower there, like we were talking about that, like, but also it's such a, you have to kind of talk them into the waiting, hey, this is gonna take a while maybe, and it isn't
Right.
a instant gratification situation. So
What if we reframed it and it's a skill gap? They don't know this skill.
yeah,
They really don't have this skill. They don't know it. Like,
Mhm.
how do you write a check? They don't know how to write a check. They know how to Venmo, or they know, but what if it was reframed to say they don't know? So what do we do to help them know? But part of it is for us to put the label on it. Like, here's what waiting is. Like, yeah.
That's a really good
way of thinking about it. I don't think that I thought about it that way, because it really is, it is a skill set. Like waiting, being patient. That's not always taught anymore. It's like she's whining right now, just give them something. And that's taught from a very, very young age, like the iPad generation.
The iPad generation. I taught graduate courses, and one of them was responsibility. And I would say to the teachers, what's your number? And they're like, what do you mean? And I said, well, what's your number? And they're like, sure, I said, okay, everybody's number if you go to the grocery store and watch moms in the checkout line, because the kid goes, can I have the gum? No. Can I have the gum? No. Can I have the gum? No. Can I have the gum? Sure, fine. So the point is, if your number is anything other than 1, it doesn't matter, because the kid knows how to whittle you down. And so I have 2 sons.
It'll happen.
Yes. And my oldest would say, Ben, oh my God, do you know that when mom says no, she's never going to say yes? Ben's like, yeah, but I got to just keep trying. I'm like, okay, you be consistent and I'll be consistent. So we almost don't even know. We have to be able to label those things to say to them, look, actually, this is what this means. And this is why we're frustrated. We know you don't have that experience or skill yet. but we're going to get resources to help you have that experience. Yeah. Yeah. What, when you hear or think of old people, what comes to mind?
Um, I
I love the older generation. Like I think they're really great to talk to. But I also see a lack of like wanting to change or seeing just a big resistance to anything different. And I'm like, but like change is always going to happen. And if you're resistant to that change, like, if you're like a rubber band that stays stagnant, that rubber band snaps rather than like is I think that way with muscles too. Like if you're not changing the stress on your muscles, then like things become stagnant. And it's like I see a little bit of a stagnation in some people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say everyone, but
Right.
because I talk to a variety of people, but I do feel like sometimes it's just that, and man, like I get that. Like I get that in myself of like that resistance of something that I've always known or whatever.
Right. Where do you think the resistance comes from? Like, what's the emotion behind that, maybe?
fear.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's fear that it's moving too fast and I don't know. And really
It is
there's so
moving too
much more.
fast.
It is
I
moving.
think it is. I think it is. I don't think they're wrong about that.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you are sitting here in your mid 30s and I love that you said, I own several businesses.
My entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah. You're like, I mean, think about like that. It takes a very different kind of mindset to be able to handle the risk with what you're doing. That, I mean, you are having to scrap every day because there's nobody giving you a paycheck when you show up at the door to whatever. Yeah.
And like we were talking about before this, wanting to give up a little more of, some things is hard to do, but I know like that risk is worth the reward. That risk of, letting something go so that something else could, happen, but you can't have that without that risk. And I feel like I've maybe desensitized a little bit to some of those risks. Not all, obviously, because I'm nervous about that, but like some of the risks, I'm just like, well, you have to. Like, what else? How else are you going to do that if you don't jump?
Yeah. And so I'm in Colorado as we're recording this, and I went on a hike on yesterday. And so I, in my head, I was like, I'll take the easy route. And I'm like, no, don't. So it was a 2 mile up around or whatever.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And it actually ended up being 5.5 the whole loop, which but I got so far in, I was like, frick, I'm committed. Like I'm not. And so, okay. So, and I thought, this is not a race. I can take 10 steps because it's the altitude, et cetera. And I will tell you, I literally got to the top and I thought, okay, I'm just going to stand here and breathe. And then I stood up and I turned around and it absolutely took my breath away because of the view. And I said out loud, that was worth the effort.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. No joke.
That was worth the deep breaths and the hard and the being like, do it because look at what I got because I did it. Even though it was hard along the way, I'm like, wait. So the next one that was even higher and a little less pathy. And I was like, dear Jesus, what was I thinking? I didn't bring water. It was really, yeah. Right. I'm like, how am I going to be able to walk tomorrow? And then I thought, but now I know I've had that experience of how hard, then you get there, and then hard, and you get there. Like, because I think I would, yeah, and the other, and it ages, like you're at a pivotal point because what you've done for the last so many years, okay, it got you here, and now you go, what do I really love to do? Yeah. When you get up in the morning, if you could do, when you think about all the things that you do, what if that gives you like your every single cell in your body is alive and has just energy?
It's teaching.
Like I come back to this time and time again, like how much I love to teach yoga. I can't think of anything else while I'm in front of those people demonstrating. It's just something so me comes out of me that I'm just like, that's it. that's the person. And I don't know, I'm so happy like every time. Like I just have such a, yeah.
What is it about it? I mean,
I think it's the sharing. It's the, you know, I I'm the kind of person that needs to profess something. Like I just love to teach. I love to share knowledge. And I think maybe
uh-huh.
it's that. It's like getting to share things that just really have helped me and that bring me joy all the time.
So when you're doing that, do you see the connections happening in their as they're doing it? Like your whole face is lit up right now.
I am like, you get it. And it's a full body thing. Like I'm just like, yes, like I get so excited about it. And I don't know, it's just, it fills up my cup in such a way. Like I like to call it soul points. You know, anything that I do requires soul points, either getting them or giving them away. And I'm just like, I'm in this place where my soul points are a little bit in the negative, you know, like it's like, what can I do to, yeah.
And pay attention to yourself, right? Like that, which, so, okay, which is also part of this age where you are like, in your 20s, you're building, you're trying to figure it out. And then if you get married, if you have kids, all those kinds of things. And then there's this like 30s and you go, oh, okay, is this it? Like, is this the daily grind? But how is this working or not? And then, I mean, then you're 40 and you think you know shit and you don't know shit when you're 40, even though
I am like already feeling that way. I'm like, oh my God. Like, but
yeah,
hearing what you said about like that getting to the top and like being able to look back, like I don't think I look back very often. Like I don't think I get to a quote unquote top and then get to like turn around. So hearing you say that really felt good because I don't think that I acknowledge it. And when other people maybe acknowledge it, I just don't, like, you know, I'm like, no, it's not a big deal or whatever. But like that view
yeah.
is pretty nice. It does look pretty good.
So as a business owner, Shay, then how do you are are you doing look back? What kinds of business oh, you're rolling your eyes.
Well,
Yeah, what kind of
it's
business practices that you know, so reflection is not one of those.
not a big part of it. Well, in that way, where it's like taking time to be like, oh, good job for that thing. Usually I don't give myself that. It's more of a like, okay, what's the next thing? Like not like any, you know, oh, good job. You're doing this. It's like, no, I did this and now I'm on to the next thing. And I don't really take a second to have that turnaround moment of being like, take in the view, enjoy what's going on.
Right.
I don't do that.
But how would you know to do that?
I guess I wouldn't. I wasn't
Right.
taught.
But you like that's a skill you don't have because nobody taught you how to. I mean, I'm betting you just started doing stuff and you're like, okay, I
Yeah.
got enough money to eat this
20
week. Now I got a
years.
place.
You said, I was like, no, woman, it's not been 20 years. Like that kind of not looking back, that kind of not reflecting, where it's like, I don't even register. It's not even
Yeah.
registering.
Well, I'm going to challenge you to do that. I'm
Yeah.
going to I really am. So even that's part of what I'm doing here in Colorado is I kind of did my business kind of by the numbers, like just look back. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in the second half of the year already. Like July is 2 weeks away. Okay.
Oh my God.
So, right. And so thinking about how do I've said many times, we don't learn from our experiences because no one would get drunk twice. We learn from processing them, like how bad I really felt. So I'm going to never do that again. So, and I think that's part of the waiting too. That's part of this, this shift from part of the other thing too is I think the under 40s something look at the boomers and the X's and go, we're not going to do that. We're not going to workaholic. It's not all about the money. Like we missed experiences. We missed connecting with people and we want to do that differently.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I always want to be careful of like bridging gaps. And that's why I like that you do this too, is like, being careful to be more understanding about like, where people came from. The fact that, yeah, you didn't learn that thing. Like, it's not like it's your fault, but it's kind of your responsibility to learn it maybe. And just, I don't know, like more grace, I guess.
Okay, what you just said. So it's not your fault you don't know it, but it's your responsibility not to learn it. So, oh, I didn't know, and I'm not going to just use that use that as an excuse to go on. I don't know. Well, okay, wait a minute. There's plenty of that's a very good distinction. And so if we have a little bit of curiosity with people, and then, okay, you don't know, so how are you going to find out? How can I help you find out? Or what do you need? Like your stepdad going, okay, this is what's happening in his company. Well, let's look at this differently because we can't keep doing the same thing. You know?
And
Yeah.
that curiosity mindset
Is like, rather than just building, walls between each other, it's like, how can we know each other more? Like, how can we figure this out amongst ourselves rather than, having that. And I find what you do so fascinating. I just think that's so cool.
Yeah. Thank you. I love it because it's helped me have more, it's just helped me like understanding. Like I'm less defense, like irritated or something. Like I can just go, oh, you did not know that. Like I literally today was having a conversation and somebody's like, this gal's 23, works, and she said, and I talked to her, and then I found out she's in the bathroom crying. And so her boss, like, what did you say? And she's like, I didn't say anything. Well, she's a 23-year-old and nobody's been direct with her before. And so she took the directness as like she just did not have that experience with someone who was direct. And so now this gal, the older person's like, oh my God, suck it up. What is the matter with you? And I said, okay, let me offer this to you and how she got to be this way in a job. And she looked at me and she went, oh my gosh, light bulb.
Wow.
Light bulb. And she's like, that's really sad. I said, sad, Matt, what are you going to do about that? And I said, and it's not change the way you talk to her. Cause she's like, we have to change the way we talk to people. I said, no, it's more about helping her understand the skill gap. Hey, in a place of business, people are busy. They're going to be direct. This is what this means. Okay. Right. Yeah. We're not going to undo all of this yuck if we don't connect with people who literally are starving for love and connection.
Yeah, they just want to feel heard.
They just want to feel seen. Like you say, like the moment you asked, like the moment that I knew I was different, I felt so seen. Like I that can be such like a gap builder to, just be like, I see you. I have empathy for your situation. Like that's just so powerful.
Yeah. And congratulations and embrace that. Because we can spend our whole life defending. Well, one of my sister-in-laws, she said to me, Cheryl, stop defending yourself. I was like, she said, Cheryl, you do it every time you're around your brothers. And I went, oh, I do. Because I'm different. And for my life, I was like, I gotta, like, no, God pretty much made me. And believe me, God and I have had many conversations about this.
Sensitive about it. It's because I know. It's because like deep down I know. And like having anybody bring that to my attention or to light in a negative way can heighten some feelings in some kind of way and make me feel like, yeah, I'm on the defensive right now.
Yeah. And Shea, think about it. We would not have this nation if we didn't have trailblazers.
Oh, seriously. Amen.
I mean, really, and so we have had to have people who think differently and have a risk tolerance that's way different than other people. I mean, I have people like, how do you do this? I'm like, how do you what? And they're like, well, not have a steady paycheck. I'm like, it really, I don't know. It's really okay with me. In fact, if you put me in a place where I have to be for 8 to 5, Like, I feel like I'm in handcuffs and you've put me in prison.
I'll claw myself out.
Yeah. Yeah, I will too. I will. And I might eat my arm off to get there.
Process, like trust that you know what you're doing, and B, like God will provide. Like if that's what you're called to do, like the universe will provide what you need. And you just need to trust that process of being like, yeah, that risk is going to be worth the reward that I get to either get or give.
Yes. Yes. So cool. Okay. So do you have sisters or brothers?
I do. Yeah. I'm the eldest.
Okay. Me too.
I was
We're a
like,
thing.
we are a thing.
We're a thing. Like, oh, those other people don't get it.
He just, he gets it. He understands.
He understands. Yes. Yes. What excites you about, like, okay, if you listen to the people in the world, everybody's like, oh, all the things, but what what gives you hope, or when you think about the people younger than you and coming up and the people you interact with, like, where's joy in that and hope for you?
I have such a good answer for you.
Because I feel like I'm seeing it a lot lately. One of my friends, like, he's a pretty big local,
Let's call him a shitster.
just a little bit, like in a good way, where it's like
Antagonistic.
yeah,
Agitator.
in a way where he's not on either side of it, but he wants people to be aware. It's like, this is your community and you need to be aware of what's going on, because communities are where everything happens. Like, if we don't care about ourselves and our own, like, what are we doing? And I just see this resurgence of just like community, like caring about community, like caring about things in a big, small way, where you're just like, there's not much I feel like I can do in the big scale, the grand scheme of things right now. There's just so much happening. There's so much in the world and the internet. But what I can do is make a difference where I'm at. Like, the community that I'm in, the people that I interact with every day, they matter. And people are starting to see that. Like, the younger generations, the older generations. Like, I live in this smaller community, Alton, and I'm seeing, like, even like my social media is very local. Like, people really care about our town, and it's just kind of, it's becoming a thing. And I feel really proud of it. And I hope that's like not just here. I hope that's more of a wide scale thing.
It is.
I hope so. I hope so.
Because so I heard, and I can't remember which episode, but Simon Sinek had a podcast that he talked about. Do you listen to his stuff?
He's so great. Yeah, he's so great.
He's so great. He had a concept called porching, because remember, years ago we sat out on our front porches, and now we all have fences, and we sit on the back, and we don't. And so that concept of porching and just being out there for your neighbors and visiting and people walking by, right? That's what this is. And it's really interesting you should say that, because when I hear people bashing on the younger, like, they don't know how to say, they are, all these things, I'm like, actually, you should pay attention to them, because they are the ones who are, the pendulum is swinging back, and they're recognizing the dangers of isolation,
Big time.
and the uprising, and if you read history, that's how some of the political parties started, with people going, no, we're going to, at the local grassroots, that's where it matters. You're right. It's not, and the extreme sense of purpose that Gen Z and millennials want and need in their life, that's where it's going to come.
And once they are able to start channeling it, because I'm seeing that channeling of,
yes,
we are using social media to our advantage now, rather than letting it use us. And we've kind of let it use us for so long, and I think we've been burned several times now, especially the younger generation, having been so chronically online, that they're like, I think we need to maybe take a look at this and take it back.
Well, and okay, so why do you think the protests are happening on all of people don't even know what they're protesting, right? This Palestinian and all the things back, they don't know. They just know that they want to belong. They want to belong for a cause and a purpose. And they're like, and they see, so there's a yearning and a desire that doesn't go away. I've been reading a little about nutrition and stuff, and one of the things I learned is that your body will keep eating until it has enough protein. And
Interesting.
yeah, and even if you don't eat, like, it's going to keep until it's satiated with the amount of protein that we need, and we don't obviously eat enough protein. Okay. Well, I think the same thing with this connection. We are made for connection, and we're going to seek it and do negative things, or what, I mean, study the gangs. Like, that's all, like, all of that. So if you all can start to use that and channel that, think, wow, what a beautiful, I mean, really, it's kind of going back to what our older people did. They had church picnics, and they, did barn raisings.
Your protein in the right places, like you're getting it more
Yes.
substantially. And you're so right. Like the porching thing, like in our neighborhood, like when I'm home, I really do love being at home. But there are times
Yeah.
when, like, I want to interact with my neighbors and be out on our porch. And that is the kind of neighborhood we have here. And I just like us helping each other and caring about each other, and it not
Right.
being so like, oh, I'm fearful of those people. It's like, no, I know them, and I know the people that know them. And like, it's
Right.
way more of a community. And that just
Yeah.
causes way more people to care.
And it takes us coming out of our own comfort, or to lead that, and not be like, I don't want to, no,
I'm uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable 100%.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you have to.
Right. But what's the worst that can happen, or what's the best that can happen? If you look at those kind of extremes, you get just different perspectives. So, yeah. So you are hopeful about the future.
Oh, I am. I feel like I have such like pessimistic tendencies, but I at heart am an idealist. Like I really do think like the people have the best in them. They're just, like humanity gets in the way sometimes.
Correct. And we all have our stuff, and if we can realize the lens that somebody else is looking for, it's like that tip of the iceberg. You only see the tip. There's so much more underneath that you don't know. Yeah. What advice? You got any advice for entrepreneurs who want to do a gig or to want to?
Well, the consistency thing, like lean into social media and like the way that it can be useful for you. I know some people get really scared about that. Like I just got on TikTok, but I'm like, use social media like as an outlet to show who you really are, and the right people will connect with that. Be as authentic as you can. Like, and no matter what you do, like that authenticity of like you believe in what you do comes across more than anything else. Like I spot that a mile away. Like somebody being authentic about what it is they do, chef's kiss.
Yeah. And a lot of that is recognizing that, saying is acknowledging that we are made exactly how we're supposed to be made. Like celebrating it instead of going, well, no, like I'm
Hammer.
yeah. Yeah. Good. Oh, I think we could talk forever, but I have no idea how long we've been talking.
Forever. Yeah. You're so great. Oh my gosh, this has been a true honor. Like I think you are a genuinely awesome person. Like Bob and I, like we are your little fan club over here in Alton. Yeah. So just so you know, we talk about you all the time.
And you know what? I actually am living my best life. Like when I finally, and I had to through my life just because I raised kids and things, and I had to work jobs and stuff. But when I finally just burned the ships and said, I'm doing it, I mean, the fear actually went away. And I just was like, okay. I mean, and it just, so thank you, because I do love what I do. Like, I'm living my best life.
You're a role model for me, getting like, I see you as a bit of a mentor to be like, yeah, you can do that. You can live the life that you want to live on your own terms, like with doing what you love. It's
and some
doable.
of it's hard and it sucks.
Yeah.
Like some of it is hard, and you can't fast track the experience. You have to do the hard stuff. You have to, and then you go again. It's like the mountain yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, worth it
Such a
at the top.
metaphor. You're like writing this one down.
I did. I took my phone because I didn't have anything to write with, and I had my glasses with me so I couldn't see because I'm up at 50 something. And I'm in my phone. I'm like, remember this. And so I got back and I've got like all
such a
these
youth pastor. As a yoga teacher, I just feel like such a pastor sometimes with like sermon notes because I'm like, I'll take things from life all the time and be like, we're going to talk about this and put it into my lesson. Yeah.
Hey, I want to know, how old is the oldest? Like, what are the age ranges of people who come to yoga?
Oh, all ages. It's
Okay.
really cool. I have one really young girl that comes with her mom to the beginner class, and I just kind of let her be back there, do some of the stuff. If she wants to doodle, she's quiet and cute. But then I'll
Okay.
have like really older ladies, you know, and I
Okay.
love working with all body types and styles, and I love working with problems. You have a problem, I'm curious about it. You know, it's just like that kind of thing. I'm not really, I won't shy away from it.
So if you've never done yoga, see, that stuff intimidates me. Like, I just go, oh, it just makes, I don't know. Cause it intimidates me because I don't know what to wear. Like, what clothes am I gonna, like my boob's gonna get in the way.
Are they gonna fall out? Like, what's gonna happen? Am I gonna fart? Like, yeah, the whole thing. And guess what?
Those are real
things happen. Real things like that happen. But like, I love working with beginners. I love working with like older, like just anybody, because I'm so in love with it, and I just want people to fall in love with it too. It's just like learning about yourself. That's it. Like, it's just like a process of learning yourself.
Shea, it's what you're meant to do.
I feel that. I really do.
And because of some of the work that I do, my brain is starting to strategize for you.
You just keep doing that.
I mean, what could be possible? Like, and I think, that's the beauty of talking to you and people, like, what is possible? Like, what already is possible? And oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I've thought about it, and my brain has so many ideas. I'm just not like I'm not a good implementer. That's usually my problem, is like I need a helper or a doer or somebody that's like, hey, like, let's actually put this on paper. Let's actually start the process of doing the ideas. So I'm, like there's so many things I could do. It's just, finding that
Okay,
niche or that focus.
So our call is not done. I thought it was, but we're not. So okay. So one of the other things that I do is I work with farm families on their legacy succession planning. And here's what they say. Okay, well, I haven't had time because, we're planting or we're harvesting. And I finally made the distinction in these phrases. They're busy working the farm. Like, they just work the farm. That's what they do. So they're not running the business. Those are two different skills. So as an entrepreneur, as a person who's in business for herself, you're doing the daily business of doing the business, like, or working you're teaching yoga classes, you're, cleaning houses, you're thrifting, you're doing the doing. And then there comes this point where, and this relates to business, but it also relates to life, where you have to stop and go, wait just a second. There's a different set of skills here. Do I have them or do I not? And if I don't, do I need to leverage them so that I can do more of what the doing of the business?
I have the skills. I do. Like, I'm actually getting my master's, is what I'm calling it, my master's in yoga right now. So it's,
Okay.
I have the skills. I know I do. It's just
What skills? What skills do you know you have?
Well, I mean, the teaching, like
The teaching. Yes.
Connect. Yeah, the whole thing.
Okay. And which is different than the business, like, okay, the follow through on the business, like the strategy piece, okay, in 5 years, do you want to have your own yoga studio? Do you want to have people? What's your specialty? Do you want to involve goats? I mean, are there going to be goats?
Where are the goats?
Where are the goats? Where do you source goats? I don't know.
Oh gosh. There's so many things.
There's so many things, right? Yeah. So those are, which is the beauty of this, right? Which is there's no script. There's no, it's like children, you have them and they don't come with a manual. Like, and even if they did, it would be wrong because they're human.
Yes. Just
So
let you go home with them.
yes, that Gail, they let you take them home and you pray for the best and go, oh my God, I've never done this before. Hopefully we're going to be good. But Shay, that's where, but that's where you are in your business too, right? What you've done, and now, and you can feel it because it's this sort of unsettled or tension that pulls at you that starts sort of little and then gets a little louder and a little stronger. And you're like, oh, can I just put my head down and do what I was going to do? No, not really, because there comes a point where you can't. Yeah. Which is the part of life too, right? It's like the community you talked about, or the tension with the older people who, I don't want to do that. I know, but you know, okay, but don't be complaining about the other stuff then.
Yep. That's it. You got to choose a lane. You got to pick a path, or it will pick you.
That's correct. And choose your hard now or later. I mean, I've said that a lot lately. I'm like, marriage is hard, divorce is hard. Having kids is hard, not having kids is hard. Running a business, working for other people is hard. Pick your hard. Like, yeah. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you. And you have really helped me not be mad at the millennials. Because I just struggled.
I was really hoping that I would give some faith in our generation, just a little bit.
Well, and I think it's because I haven't spent a lot of time understanding, and there's like two different camps of it. There's those who are lazy, not working, and then the other, like you all. So I think there's a little guardedness more in so it's very fascinating. The more I talk to, it's helping me. And it gives me a different outlook and positivity to help me know how to be curious, what questions, etc. So
kind of how I felt about the older generation
too, until I started having more older friends and, actually having conversations with individual people rather than just like, putting them in as a whole, because that's so easy to do.
Right. It is very easy to,
don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. Well, we do. We stereotype. We have our moments, and then we're like, okay, wait just a second, So anyway,
think a little bit. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it has been an absolute joy. You're going to stay on when I hit the things or whatever, so it all uploads. But truly, thank you for giving up your time to just chat with me and really be a voice for people who are different than other people, and that there's joy in doing it your way and bringing I don't know, I think you're bringing something to the world that it really needs, as we have lost some of that. So there's some, I don't know, redemption in it. So
I appreciate
thank you.
that.
Sometimes it feels not like that. You feel like you're just, either spinning your wheels or just hoping you're doing something right. But following your passion really it pays off. That view is worth it. Yeah.
That view is worth it. So thank you. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.